Hi guys, welcome to FTM Transtastic. I'm Emil and this week's topic is online activism. I am freshly post-op. I had surgery last Thursday, and I'm pretty tired. So excuse me if I am a bit all over the place, and I can't really edit because I can't move my arms too much. Um, but yes, this week's topic is online activism, as I said. And I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on online activism. I hadn't really planned this out at all, so we're just gonna see where it goes. But online activism, when I think of online activism, I think of anything between making petitions or sharing articles, or engaging in discussions, or making educational material on blogs or maybe on Instagram or on YouTube. A lot of YouTubers are online activists, and I think online activism is a great type of activism. I think the internet is a great tool for education and for community building, and I just think it's great. Of course, everything is what you make it, and something can be not great if you don't handle it well or whatever. But I think the internet and online activism is so good because it's so accessible to people who maybe live in remote locations, who can't, maybe go to community meetings or events or protests or whatever it is. And I think it's great for people who may have physical or mental variations that make it difficult for them to go to certain things or do certain things. And I also think it's probably a very effective way to spread your knowledge or your views or your message or whatever it is to people who might not really listen in another situation. Like, for example, if you watch a YouTube video, you don't have to react to it, or if you read a blog post, you can read it and you can learn silently, and you don't have to really go somewhere, and you don't have to be face to face with someone and respond to what they say. So I think it's easier to receive information, especially if you're somebody who maybe doesn't really understand or maybe is a bit hostile towards these views. I think it can be, in some cases, be easier to for some people to start listening, because there's not really any pressure when you're reading a blog post or checking out an Instagram account or watching a YouTube video or whatever it is, or reading some article or something. And it's pretty easy to, I feel, develop a passion for certain causes, because, once again, it's easier to like a page on Facebook, it's easier to follow an account, sorry, alarm, telling me to make this video, actually. But yeah, like, it's easier to like a page on the internet or follow a blog or something than to, like, sign up for something and go somewhere. And it's easier to just follow some type of blog or something and learn from there and learn why this cause is important, and then maybe get more involved. I definitely think that like, not online activism, like, I don't like saying real world activism, because the internet is still the real world, like, it exists, it's here, but you know what I mean, not activism that is not on the internet, that is, like, out on the streets, in places that is not the internet. I definitely think those forms of activism is still very important, because there is a power in, in crowds, in protests, in people meeting face to face in communities. There is a power in that the internet is never really going to have, I think. But online activism versus the other type of activism are just two different things, and we need both of them. And I think it's great that we have both of them, because we can use them in different ways, and different people may have different preferences, and I definitely think nothing less of online activism. I think the danger with online activism and the entire concept of online activism is that it can be very easy to, you know, read lots of things, listen to lots of things, share articles, write your own stuff, express your opinions, and um, like tell yourself that you really have done your part to help. And if that's all you can do, then that is definitely, you know, that's great. Or if it's a cause that you know, you have many different causes, and you maybe, obviously, you can't put your time and effort into everything. But I recognize this in myself. That's why I want to be cautious about it, because I think it's a danger in just everybody just sitting around and writing articles and sharing articles, which in itself is great. But if that's all we do, and then we don't actually do anything, like we don't, you know, send letters to politicians or whatever it is that is necessary, we don't gather, we don't have face-to-face communities, we don't do protests, we don't do events, we don't do these things except online, then I think there's a danger in losing something very important, in losing a power, and in losing a community, and in losing a togetherness, and in losing people outside of our communities remembering us. Because if you're marching down the street in a protest, for example, that's a very classic example, but yeah, people will see that. Or if you do an event and you put up posters all over town because you have this event coming up, people will see that and they will be reminded that this exists. But online, it is not really like that. Sure, you can have ads, but everybody doesn't have ads, you know, and it's much more dependent on you actually seeking out the content in order to find it. And I think that's where the difference, maybe one of the biggest differences between online activism or online things in general and not online things are. Online, you really have to search out what you're looking for. So it's harder, not impossible, but it's harder to just stumble upon things. Now, of course, I mean, some people do spend more time online than they spend walking the streets in a big city where they're likely to see posters or people or whatever, but I think you know what I mean. This video's getting really long, but yeah. There's really no end point to this video. This was just me musing about online activism. I think we need a balance. Maybe that's my end point. I think we need a balance between online activism and the outernet activism. Like, is there a word for this? Am I just not understanding what word I'm supposed to use? Anyway, I think it's important that we have a balance. That's not to say that there has to be a balance in every single individual, because for some people, online activism will be far easier than out there activism. Because of a wide array of different reasons. It can be where you live, it can be that you are, for example, if you're LGBT, you can be closeted, and it can be hard to get out to these events without somebody seeing you. It can be because you have anxiety, or it can be because you have a physical, you know, variation, and all events aren't maybe accessible to you. And it just can be a wide array of different things. So I definitely don't think we should just shame people for being solely online activists because you don't know their reason. And I think online activism really is a good starting point also for people who don't have any, you know, hinders to going to these events or to these protests or whatever. But they're just starting out, and maybe you don't want to dive headfirst into it, you know? That's what I think. I feel like I could talk about this for a lot longer, because it's an interesting topic, but I'm gonna end it there. So, what do you think of online activism versus the other type of activism? Um, yeah, tell me. And I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.